Hey everybody, welcome to Everyday Fi. I'm your host, Megan Combs, and I'm here to say that you do not need a $1 million book deal or a famous blog to reach financial independence. By exploring the lives of everyday people pursuing Fi, I'll show you how to forge your own path to financial freedom the everyday way. Today is part 2 with my friend Eric, and in this episode we chat about his journey to financial independence after retiring from the Marine Corps at 45. Eric shares how he found the FIRE movement, his experience learning about stocks, and his success investing in oil stocks before the 2008 financial crisis. Eric opens up about the struggles of finding a new identity and purpose post-retirement and the value of having multiple communities or tribes to nurture different aspects of your life. Eric also celebrates his recent accomplishment of completing his first fiction novel, emphasizing the importance of creativity and personal growth throughout your entire life. Tune in to hear the second half of Eric's story after a word from some advertisers who, by the way, I do not choose and do not condone. I want to go to your FI story and how you found financial independence. I know you said you retired at 45 and it sounded like it's because the military was like, please leave, we're paying you too much money. But what did you find the FI movement some other way? Were you kind of just, hey, I'm early retired, cool. And then, yeah. And what's that story?
Okay,
Yeah.
so Elise, being the financial person that she is, she's always curious. And when I met her, she was on the Ramsey program, and that's Wendy and I were working on our program too. So when we both lost our spouses, we came together and we were supporting each other. Conversation came about how do you come out of debt? And she was talking, these things. And then I was asking the questions like, well, what's life afterwards? And so as our relationship grew together, so did our financial curiosity came together. Now, during my third tour in Iraq back in 2007, us pilots had this game. And the game was to pick a stock and follow the stock. And this is how we're going to learn how stocks rise and fall and all that stuff. So we're just going through this whole thing of just, this is how I outgained somebody else percentage-wise. Somebody picked a penny stock and they just blew us all away or something like that. And so we learned through our various ways of picking stocks and then sharing with each other in the ready room what we learned that day. I continued that as a flight instructor on my downtime, where I would just be on Motley Fool. Motley Fool back then had this great page on there where you can pick stocks as if you were buying the stocks, and it would give you points for the gains and losses of, a share of that stock. And
you wouldn't actually have to buy the stock and actually have the losses.
Right.
It's kind of like a game. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was a great way to learn about how stocks move, how they traded, and all, and just without putting money into it. Motley Fool was way ahead of its time to education through fun and enriching people. And I was always hooked on that, on their website. The articles I read and all this other stuff, and just learning what moves the market. And so I had Wendy is gas prices were starting to go up in 2007. Fracking was starting in North Dakota, the second oil boom. And I remember Wendy going, how can we get into this gas money? And I was like, I'll show you. And so I took about 10,000 of my savings and I put it into these different oil stocks. And the ones that I knew weren't working in North Dakota with the fracking, I was like, okay. And they were rising nicely, but then they got eaten up by the bigger guys. And so I was making more money off of these buyouts. And so they're getting sucked in. And eventually I had all this Exxon stock because Exxon just sucked everyone underneath them. Well, then 2008 came, and with the house crashes and all this other stuff, I was like, fire sale. And so I sold my Exxon and I bought so many various things. I bought SiriusXM. I bought GameStop before GameStop was even the thing.
You bought a meme stock before it was a meme stock.
Exactly. I had these different stocks and I was like, this is what we called the sandbox. And the sandbox grew to over the years. And, as my fellow pilots or flight instructors were always teasing me about, man, you're always in that thing. You're always on that Motley Fool site. You're always like, yeah. It's like, you're going to have a pension. You're old. I was older than average as a pilot with my peers. And they're like, you're fine. You'll get a pension. It's like, no pension's ever guaranteed. So I was enjoying watching that 10 grow into about 40-ish, thousand and all that stuff. And then I just didn't really mess around with it. When his life was happening, when I was losing Wendy to the cancer and all that, I didn't really think about it. And we got her money situation. By the time I lost Wendy, I had pretty much just the mortgage left on the house. There was no, the credit cards were paid close, no problem. Student loans didn't have any. So, I got them paid off. But, when I lost her, we were financially in a decent place. Now, her life insurance did not do much for us and for me, but it was enough to just thank you for your service type money. And so when Elise and I were together, it was like we bonded over the fact that we were working on these goals. We were working on these goals to be financially smarter, financially better. It wasn't until I think when we were in Japan in 2016, I wasn't really investing. I had all this cash saved. And it was because the intel I would read, or these intel reports the guys would give me as an operations officer, second to the boss, of making plans. And when you hear this stuff, you feel like the world's going to fall apart. It's like a house of cards. You're just waiting for the whole world economy to fall apart because everyone's got this intel on this, intel on that. And you're like going, how do we survive as a people? And so I would rather hoard cash and then, at least being the good corporate accountant, used very good logic with me. And I learned a lot about the 3.5 inflation killing the US dollar. I learned about eventually getting to a point where we went and we sat down with somebody and it's like, what am I screwing up? Where do we need to go? How can we do this? And, it was a great conversation that we got to have. And so Lisa, she's brought up the idea that we have every Wednesday evening after I get home from work that we'd have money night, And so we sat there and trying to open an account in Japan, even though you're a U.S. citizen, is impossible. That poor lady went through so much hell just to open a Fidelity account just because we weren't physically in the U.S. And it was a challenge, but we made it happen.
Gotta get those VPNs. VPN, I'm in the United States. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm in San Fran. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one way we could have done it too. But she found a way. She's very smart about how to find things, to find answers. So smart. Oh, yeah.
I will be bringing her on.
Oh, yeah.
Tell her she's coming on the show.
Oh, I know. You're going to have her on for a couple times.
Yeah.
But so when we started learning to invest, we started doing cost averaging investing. And then, we stayed with the Ramsey programs for a long time. We got to a point where at one time that we were done with baby steps. We paid off the house way back when we were giving like nobody else did. And so it was like, what's next? And Elise was like, you heard of FIRE? And I was like, no, teach me. And so it's like learning through her curiosity. But at the same time, it was like a conversation we had one Monday night. It's like, how do we know we have enough money? And so I was like, I found some guy who, Ramsey affiliate type guy had come to the house and we sat down with his computer, put in the numbers. And the second time he came, he's like, you cannot screw this up. And we were like, oh, we don't believe you. We're like, no, we don't believe you. We're sorry, but, thank you for your time. And it's like, just send us the bill. And he never sent us the bill. That was the funny part. It was like,
that's kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah, we got free financial, going, you can't screw this up. But we didn't believe it, though. It wasn't until when Elise retired, when she turned 45, and we started Jail Endeavors, and she started her half of Jail Endeavors as AJ Money Coach. She wanted to be, her passion project was to help people with their financial literature, literacy. And because she was doing that in Japan, helping out young adults, some of my Marines out and saying, hey, this is what you need to do better with your money. And so she had a passion for that. As she's growing in her qualifications, certifications, we're getting invited to FinCon, financial conference, where meeting meets money. And she's like, you got to come with me. You're doing all this. You're learning this YouTube. You've been helping me. Come with me to Austin. We'll go to FinCon and see what we can learn. And I was like, okay. And boy, we met some great people. I was like, oh, I like these people. And then I remember Diana introduced herself to Elise, and she's like, you got to come to economy. And I was like, and she's like, oh yeah, I'll come to economy. She asked me if I want to go. I was like, I don't know. I'll let you figure it out. And I'll be down here working on my side of the business. And so she went to economy, and she was like, Eric, you got to come to economy. You really need this. This is important. And I was like, okay. She goes, you already met Sean Mulaney over at FinCon. That's, he was there, and starts listing out the names of the people we met. And I was like, okay, well, I'll go economy. And then Camp FIs started coming around, and we were like, it was like, I think January 22, because it's right there. Hawthorne, Florida is like, 6 hours away or something like that, easy to drive. So it was like, okay, we'll go meet Steven and the gang. And I was like, I love these people. I met David Robinson there. I met Penny and Mike Rose there. I met my fellow Erics there, Eric Cooper, and all of them. And it's like, now it's been...
You met me.
I met you there. I met you at Spain. Yeah, I was
not in Florida. Obviously,
no, but in Spain.
Spain.
But every time we went to a Camp FI, our network, our friends grew into a large circle of trust that I've never seen before. I mean, outside the military before. I think of my fellow pilots where we can talk about anything and call each other stupid for it. But here in the FI community, it was like, hey, tell us your story. And they're like, okay, yeah, nothing to laugh about. And I'm like going, really? And I was like, I felt like an outsider at first, because it used to be, or whenever you walk, especially in Georgia, you come in and people ask, what do you do? I go, I do nothing. Or I go to Costco Wednesday morning.
I'm a bum,
yeah. I go to Costco Wednesday morning. I pinecone farmer. I go to the gym for 3 hours. They're like, what? It's like, I'm retired.
Did you say a pinecone farmer?
Oh, there's a great story with that one.
What is that? Okay, we have to deviate and go into that story. Tell that story. Please tell that story.
So when I was an enlisted Marine with my good friend Lazzaroni, we were invited by Lazzaroni's brother for his wedding up in Reno. And so I've already met his whole family, and they're a great Italian-American family. And so we went up there, and I met his twin sister's boyfriend. And he was one of those type of guys where it's like, he's a musician, a songwriter. He makes decent money doing what he does. He gets, he sells his product. But we were sitting around the night prior before the rehearsal dinner, and he was like going, God, I don't want to go to this. People ask you what you do. I can't tell, it's hard to tell them that I actually do make money as a songwriter, that I'm not a waiter. I don't need to be a waiter or anything like that. And I was like, they're going to ask you that. And he goes, yeah, I know. So the following night, when both sides, her side and the Lazzaroni side of the family, come together, and sure enough, that question popped up. And without missing a beat, he answered him straight-faced, I'm a pinecone farmer. And the guy stops and then asks, is that a lucrative business? And the rest of us lose it. And the guy, oh yeah. And then when the rest of us lose it, oh my God. He's like, he felt stupid.
I would almost be like, let's see how far we can take this to where people aren't laughing. Yeah. Those pine cones that you buy in stores to decorate like your house? That's what I farm, and it's extremely lucrative. I even source the different trees. I don't know. Just see how far you
see, your imagination goes well with that. I don't know if he could have done that
I don't think I could have actually kept going without. I don't even think I could have said pinecone farmer without going pinecone farmer.
No, I mean, he was. I'm
going to use that.
Oh, yeah. It's a great one. It gets their attention, too. It makes them think about, why do we ask each other, what do you do? Us in the FI community, we know there's more important things in our identity. And our identity is not work. Our identity is what we dream about, our goals are set for. And so I enjoy the reinforcing factors of what these people give to us. It's
absolutely.
And so, yeah, now we're totally immersed in it. I mean, Everyone knows who AJ Money Coach is and what We Wealth Collective is for her efforts of what she brings to the community. And I am so happy and proud of what she does. And I know I have my identity of what I do, but together I love the fact that, people, when they see us, they ask where the other's at, and they see us as the power couple that we can be.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't wait to tell people I'm a bum.
Your time will come soon.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't wait. Okay, so I didn't know if you wanted to circle back to, like you said, that you felt out of place when you first started going to the camps and everything, and then I made you deviate into the pinecone story. Was there any loop that you wanted to close there?
Okay, so that one. So that was, and this is something I told confidential to Elise, but when I met David, I met these other military types. It's like, when you tell somebody that you're retired at 45 and they go, well, what'd you do? Sell a company? It's like, no, I retired from the Marine Corps. And they're like, oh yeah, of course. And then you go to these FI events and you hear how about people made their financial journey to FI and all that stuff. And they're really, really incredible stories of people taking care of themselves, whereas a military pension's guaranteed. I'm like, no, it's not. Only 1 in 6 people that join the military at boot camp make it to the 20-year mark. And of all those 1 in 6 that make it, 48% can actually be fully retired. Otherwise, you have to get a full-time job. Now, those were numbers on what's called the high 3, where they go through your highest 3 paying years, and then they give you a percentage. So I did 22, that's 55%. I get 55% of that base pay. Now they have this new blended retirement plan, and those numbers are different, just the way that they pay out and all this other stuff. I am not an expert. I don't know anything about it, so please don't hit me on it yet. I have to learn it still to teach some of the younger guys. But it's just interesting when people are like, oh, you joined the military, of course you got a pension. I'm like, no, not everyone makes it that far. Most people do.
I don't understand that perspective, because I'm like, what do you think, the military is easy? What is wrong with you? I mean, you hear how, I mean, that is probably one of the hardest things you can do is join the military, and I've heard, I forget who it was on Choose FI, but there was a military guy who was talking about how burned out he got, and that he was like, I could not make it to the end of my pension because it was so hard to keep this job. And I forget, I think he was like 15 years in. So he was pretty far, and he made the decision not to go forward and just to stop. And David did the same thing because of his mental health. I'll link that show in his episode in the show notes. But yeah, I think that's a ridiculous way to look at it. Obviously, people who have not been in the military probably say stuff like that, maybe. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can think of I can think of 2 distinct points where I was ready to get out without my pension. And one was after my friends in Morphine 1-2 were shot down by that surface-to-air missile in 2007. So I remember I was 14 years in, 96 through 7. Yeah, I was 11 years in, and I was like, I don't know if this is worth it. And then when I lost Wendy to cancer in 2011, I think then that's already 15 years in. And I was like, I don't know if this is worth it. This BS, no support from my command. You're sending me to war immediately after I lost my wife. I mean, I was just, and it wasn't the Marine Corps. It was just the leaders in those smaller units that just have no humanity. So it's like any other organization. They help make or break your longevity in your career. And so,
yeah. But it sounds like you got a different perspective coming into Camp 5 because you met people like David and other people who you saw that made similar decisions as you and saw it differently, it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, I think of all the people I've met, and they've been so good about giving me perspective about these things, selection rates and all these other things that go with it, that you're competing against each other, and war is the ultimate competition is what we're told. And, you need to rise above to get, and I was like, you know what? Kind of worn out of this mentality. I might have it, but I don't like the person that makes me. I'm not a good person at home. I'm not a good person out in town, outside of the base or out in town amongst friends. It wasn't until, I think, I can only think like in the last 5 years is when I developed my social skills to be more, I'm not saying attractive, but more appealing to people where you're not chasing them away.
Effervescent.
Yeah, effervescent, yeah. Yeah. And, just trying to learn how to socialize with people and the grace that a Phi community gives you. I can tell you, I'm not afraid to admit this because I want everyone to find their help with this, but I work with a counselor. I work on my mental health because I've always had it growing up as being, inside my head too much, and having a counselor to help coach me through concepts. Why am I feeling like this? Helping giving it rationale, because I'm a highly emotional person. I get it. But I want to understand why I'm feeling like this. Oh, okay, this is why. Or how do I become a better person to others? How do I ask questions? How do I get interested in others so they feel important as well, as much as I want to feel important? And having a good counselor, mental health counselor, goes a long ways. And in my show on Leadership Developed, I've asked that question to a couple who are willing to talk about it, and they promote it and they encourage their people to seek it out to a point where the company will pay for it. And I was like, yes, this is something we need to promote out. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when I come back from a Phi event, whether it's FinCon, Camp Phi, Economy, you notices it right off the bat. It's like, you were at a Phi event. I was like, yeah, how can you tell? It's like, oh, you're happier, you're calmer, you're rational, you're just there. You're not there, you're effervescent. And it's just, the power is so incredible that you're just like, where would I be without this? So Lisa and I would go for walks and we would play, Phi. We play your show, Brad's show, and it gives us things that we need to think about and talk about and how we can do better. And also it helps out when people ask questions that go to this episode or go to these people, they can help you. And it's a crowdsourcing event. To steal from Brad, it's a crowdsourcing event of how we help each other out. But at the same time, we do amazing things as a community. Ryan's Service Corps is a beautiful thing, and we got to participate that in Tampa, and I really enjoyed that. And when I got back from that one, everyone's like, oh, why are you so happy? Why are you so ready to take on the world? It's like, because I got to be with these people that support each other, love each other. It's true. Even though Dave and I used to talk about this, is like, we don't say I love you enough in this community. And it's like, then we started normalizing it. And now we're like, we just saying it and to show our appreciation to what this community is and what the people in this community are to us. And so that's very powerful to us to be able to give gratitude and to be able to share that gratitude.
It's so powerful, and it's so much more than money. People are like, how can you sit there talking about money all day? Doesn't it get boring? And I'm like, no, because it's not about money.
Mm-mm.
It's about community. It's about the way we approach our lives is different than the norm, and it creates a sense of belonging for people who never felt like they belonged. And it's funny because we all come from different backgrounds. And some of us even have different ideological beliefs, but we still connect on a deeper level because we're approaching life so differently than, the average American. And it's great. It's great. I love it. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Well, I can think of, we sat at dinner in Spain, or every meal we sat together, and I don't think we could ever stop talking. What we do and what we bring to each other is amazing because there's never enough to talk about. There's so much interest in that we have in each other's stories, or interest in each other, or the help we give each other, or the jokes we share with each other, and the experiences we have. And so that's where I was like going, this is the fun I have with it, especially when we get to mess with people and say, we're not who we are.
You're Megan, I'm Eric.
Yeah.
I should have introduced us that way. Like, welcome to the show, Megan. Hi, my name is Eric. No, I don't know.
Well, there's some
People would
people
not
that
get it. They'd be like,
there's
what?
some people that are like going, what are they doing? And it's like, is he really a Megan? Is she really? And they thought,
funny.
just in this whole transitional world, we live in.
Yeah, like there are some people maybe, but we were just playing a joke.
Oh yeah,
Just playing a joke on people.
We're just enjoying life without the lights.
Yeah, it was
the
so
lights
funny.
were killed.
Oh God, man, we ate so much bread and drank so much wine.
We did, and then I just can't believe that place actually was thriving through the Iberian power outage. That's what I'm talking about. The lights going out.
Yeah, right. So for those who don't know, who weren't at Camp Fi Spain, and I don't know if I've already mentioned this on the show, but there was a blackout while we were there. And everybody's, oh, were you scared? And I was like, actually, it was pretty cool because we were in a town. It was a small town. It was a touristy town. The cops were out. Well, it didn't feel dangerous. People were just out like looking at the stars because it was so dark that you could see the stars. And we got some really interesting photos of the church that was there in that courtyard. And we were using like our nighttime photo thing on our phones, and you could see the stars in the background with the church. It was just really cool. It was so cool. People were like, oh, the blackout was bad. And I was like, I think it was actually kind of an interesting experience to have, actually. So
it was so unique. It just added to the uniqueness of that whole trip, because then
exactly.
So that's why I was enjoying the fact that we went to that one bar that was trying to get rid of all their beer before it spoiled on them.
Oh my God. I don't know. Did I go to that? I don't remember. Did I?
It was like an afternoon and she was pouring them out. And Darren's like, meet me here. I was like, yep, I'm there.
Yeah. Oh, that was so much fun. Okay. So we got to move it along because we could talk forever, as we just said. Like, there's never enough to not talk about. That made no sense. There's so much to talk about all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we got your FI journey, so that's cool. And I wanted to know what's going on in your life, like in this moment. And I wanted to talk about some of your current struggles that you, or even you and Elise might be going through. And then I also want to know some of your wins, though, because we don't just want to focus on the negative. But we're going to start with your struggles and then end with but then go to your wins so that we have something positive to go to. So what are you struggling with right now?
So I'll go off and on with the struggle of, so 3 things I teach leaders. You got to provide your people with identity, purpose, and growth. Well, in that, I found within myself is I struggle with my identity and I struggle with my purpose, because I don't need to bring in clients as, in the leadership development arena. I just do it because I love it, and I don't really go marketing. But at the same time, when I go somewhere, I am no longer Marine Corps Major Eric Lamblum, or call sign Landmine. Landmine kind of died when I retired. And so when my identity being tied to the Marine Corps so much and to that great job of saving lives in a hostile activity, and just the experiences was tremendous. But when the dust settled in retirement, you're like, what am I now? And then the purpose comes with it. It's like, because I don't need to do anything, but at the same time, as my dad would remind me, I have experiences that most people could learn from if they just paid attention. And I was like, but I need to learn to tell the tale. And so I've been trying to figure out what my identity is and what my purpose is. And so I found, and I wish I learned this a long time while I was in the Marine Corps, you're more than just being a Marine. You're more than just you're a husband, you're a son, you're an athlete at the gym, you're a teacher to young students. You have all these identities. Yeah, you're a friend. You have all these identities, and you cannot anchor yourself. And we'll go back to the pinecone farmer, right? We can't tie ourselves to our job, no matter how cool and great it is. We have to tie ourselves to the bountiful things that we are to other people. And whether it's I'm somebody's friend or I'm somebody's mentee to their mentorship, there is relationships to all that, and which I got to remember not to fall into the traps when depression hits of I'm nobody or I feel alone. Is I have to remember first, I'm a husband. As soon as I get that one piece, what's my second one? And you start building it, and you take that whiteboard and you keep writing it out or you're drawing it out, and then you're like, okay, I feel better about it. So those are the struggles I have, in which I like talking to other people who come from high adrenaline type positions, ER doctors like Vic, and who were like on how do you come off of being that person, that adrenalinized person, to calming down and just looking at life for what it is. And so, yeah, those are the struggles I'll find myself falling in and out of. There are tools that I find. It takes time. And you have to have patience with yourself, and you can't be mad at yourself, and can't be mad at the world because you don't feel like you have an identity. You have to just let the process develop, or let the situation develop, let the process work. And so those are the things that we're learning about, working through, and making and helping others who are going to be going through it as well.
Yeah, but that's really important, and it's great that you are able to identify that, and you're so right that I think there is a real disservice that we do to ourselves by tying our identities so strongly to only a few things. Like, I can think of our jobs. I can also think of our identities are also tied to things like our political identities and things like that. And I feel like it can really limit us in thinking more broadly about certain things. And it restricts us from understanding other people more and things like that. So yeah, having an identity that's much broader. I am this person to other people. I am this person to myself as well is a great way to look at it. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. And yeah.
Yeah.
That sounded like a kind of, you're like, it's a struggle, but also it's kind of a win because you figured out how to deal with this struggle. So you cheated, Eric. I'm just kidding.
No, I can't say it cheated because it impacts so many people when I go through that. And it's not fair to them when you're like going, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, it's not fair when they're like, they're trying to help you, they're trying to love you, and you're like, you're hurting, and they don't know how to help other than sit in the muck with you. As Simon Sinek would say, it's like, just sit in the muck with your friend. They don't want your advice, they just want you to sit there with them. And so those have been powerful things. It's not fair, like I said, it can't be fair to the people close to you when you're struggling with your identity and your purpose. I've seen many Marines that retired, and 2 years later, they're divorced because they didn't have the tools to work together on this new journey. It went from he's gone all the time and she's at home, or whatever. Either way it works. But, one spouse is gone, one spouse is always home with the kids. And then when they're both home together, they just don't know how to adjust. And it changes into, something ugly. And I've seen so many divorces in the Marine Corps because they didn't know how to handle retirement. And I do not ever want to be one of those people. So I will keep myself curious. I'll keep myself growing, and I will make sure that I am the best version of myself when I can, not fall in those traps. So. Yeah. That's great. Okay. Now we can go to your real wins. Okay. Real wins. Okay. So real win is the fact that we finally accepted the fact that we're more than FI, and that we're pretty happy. We look once a month, we do our net worth, and we're like, how's this thing still doing so well? And we're spending money. It's like, it's working. So that's our one win. The other win is I completed my first book, my first novel ever. And it's not even an autobiography. Good Lord. Autobiographies are soul limiting. This was my first book that somebody suggested, go just write fiction. Write fiction, throw some things in there, throw some, what does Taylor Swift call them? Can't remember what they're called. She puts them on music.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Hooks?
No. Easter eggs.
Oh, gotcha.
Easter
Okay.
eggs. And so I was burying Easter eggs in there for anybody who's known me. They're like, they could read through it and going, oh, that was
Did
us.
you
Or
did you put the pine cone story in there?
no, probably put
Dang
that in the
it.
second book.
Okay.
So I've completed the first draft of that, and I was so excited. I couldn't believe how exciting it was. Just because when I got back from North Dakota helping my parents, I was so depressed, and then I found this outlet to write and have no limits, have no rules, just create your world, write to that world. And by the time I was writing the last 4 chapters, I was so super excited. I was so giddy. I just wanted to share it. I can't wait to share it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I need to edit this thing because my grammar sucks. And so
Okay. Have
I got to
AI
put,
do it. It's fine. Just
I have
throw
Grammarly there.
chat GPT. Be like,
Yep.
make this sound better.
Oh yeah. Don't lose context. That's the biggest thing. Oh, lose context in a heartbeat. That's why it takes forever to edit. Grammarly does a great job. I had Friends on Fire. Mike from Friends on Fire taught me about Grammarly, and I was like going, I love this thing. I wish I had this thing when I was an officer in the Marine Corps. I could sound so much more intelligent. And so,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I'm really excited with what this came out as, and can't wait to get past the first draft and be able to get it out to people that can give feedback and get some forwards out of it so we can get that thing to market. But, it was just so much fun to explore, go back to my roots of theater and film, in which being creative, finding collaboration, even though collaboration is with a AI tool right now, but it will be working with other people who have a strong sense of the written word, following a story, writing a story. There's some great people like Clifton Corbin, who writes beautifully. He's a great writing coach. I'll be hitting him up. So fair warning, bro, I'm coming for you. But yeah, that was a big win lately that I was just so excited that I never
Yeah.
thought I could do.
Are you going to self-publish or try to get it to a publisher?
See, that's the question. I need, to get circulation, you need a publisher, but, I've always been told that self-publishing works just as well as long as you know, publishing works just as well as long as you know how to tag and market the thing on Amazon. Amazon is a great tool using the old Kindle system, in which by using the correct tags can help market your book to a greater audience.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm hoping to find somebody over at FinCon next week to be able to have that conversation with.
Yeah, that's right. FinCon is next week. I just got a refund for my ticket because I can't go. Because it's in Oregon. It's so far. It's so far from where I am.
First time on the West.
Oregon. I've been over there before, and I really did want to go, but there's a lot going on for us right now. So, like, Chris is back in school getting his master's.
Oh.
I am in a really, I have a lot more responsibility at work that's overwhelming me a little bit because I'm doing the job of what needs to be 2 people, and it's a little bit much. And then, of course, we're going through like fertility stuff. And then I'm going to Egypt in mid-October, and we're planning for our reception. There's just a lot going on. So I was like, I need to cut something out. I actually bought the trip insurance, or like the ticket insurance, because I had to bail the last year too,
Really?
because I couldn't afford it anymore. I like bought the ticket, but then I saw how much it was going to be to like stay in the hotel, and I at the time couldn't afford it. And so I was like, oh, I have to bail. And so I was out the money on that one. And so this time I bought the insurance. So yeah, I will go one day. I promise. This is the second time I've bailed on FinCon. I will go. I promise.
Okay.
One day. Yes.
One day.
But have fun. I hope you find somebody who can help you do that. I'm wondering I don't know if Brad goes anymore, but I know they published a book, the Intro to Fi or something like that. But they kind of have their marketing because they have their podcast, right? Like whatever they write, they're going to get their podcast listeners buying it or whatever. So, and I think a lot of them were free, but yeah, I wish I could help you. I know nothing.
No worries. I'm in the sci-fi genre, man. We're not even close to being with the real world.
That's fair. If it's totally outside that genre too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. Once you have it like published or whatever, let me know, and I can add it back to the show notes of this episode. Okay. Even if it goes out like before you publish, I can still go back and edit.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Add it in. And so people, if you're listening to this episode, I think it's going to come out December.
Yeah,
This
okay.
episode, yeah, I have a huge backlog. I'm so sorry, but
Oh, no, you're a
we're
popular
recording.
person.
Yeah, right. We're recording this in early September, guys, so this will probably come out in December. But
Mhm.
if it's not out by then, people who are listening, check back in, I don't know, 6 months from when this episode goes
Yeah,
out. Maybe he'll have it published by then. I don't know. I'm
yeah.
giving you a timeline. I'm sorry. I should have asked what
No,
your actual
no, 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 no,
timeline
no.
is.
That's good. That is good work
Okay.
of accountability.
June 2026. No, I was just kidding.
Okay, I'm writing that down. I'm writing that down.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I can always go back and add it as a link and
Okay.
help you.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we are coming towards the end of our time now. We're an hour and
Okay.
a half into recording. This has been so much fun. And
Oh,
there's
yeah.
so many other things I wanted to talk about, but of course I never get to talk about everything I want to. But before we leave, I wondered if you had a life hack recommendation or learning that you can leave the listeners with.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So it's, we're talking about identity and purpose and all that stuff. And going back to something that I found profound from a general of the Marine Corps that had this great philosophy. And he was like, America is turning to tribalism. You only have one set of group of people. You should have many tribes. You should have different groups that nurture different parts of you. So like I have the Phi community that nurtures me that way. I have my CrossFit community and nurtures me that way. I have my Marine Corps buddies, that reminds me that we did some great stuff. We did some dumb stuff, but we did some great stuff. And it's just learning that you're not just in a group, you're not with your political group, you're not with your business group, you're not into your industry. You are some of the pieces that you're part of. And so if you're part of more tribes, you are more well-rounded. You should be seeking that Renaissance person that you can be because you're so blessed to have these different tribes that nurture you into being the best version of you that you want to be and actually what the world needs you to be. Because if you think about it, it's very important that understand that the world needs you to be a positive sum value versus most people we know that are negative sum values who just suck resources and energy and all that stuff, where we learn that it's important to be able to give more. In giving is receiving. You'll receive because you give more. When I learned that as a young Marine once I learned to give more, I was receiving so much more back. And so I found that giving into my tribes gave me more back. And I'm living that rich life now where I have time to go enjoy things. I have a partner that wants to do things with me, who wants to drag me to a Taylor Swift concert. And because she wants me to be part of that fun. And I get to drag her to an NCAA basketball game because she loves me and we love basketball. So that idea of using your many tribes to nurture the whole you goes a long ways. And if you need a diagrams or source or something, if you Google the wellness wheel, it gives you the 8 spokes of what gives you a complete healthy life. And those are the things that I like. When Elise showed me that, I tried to incorporate it. My mentor / counselor, he's a whole health guy who believes in those 8 things. And I find myself trying to balance those things and then using the Maslow's hierarchy of needs to fill myself up. And so those are the things that I want people to be able to investigate and see how that works out for them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'll definitely link the wellness wheel in the show notes too. I'll find one and see if I can link an image or a website to it or something. So,
Good.
yeah, awesome advice. Well,
Awesome.
thank you so much, Eric, for being here. This has been awesome. If people want to reach out to you, I know you said you have this leadership YouTube. How can they learn more about you? Where can they reach you?
Okay, so I'm at my name, eric.lamblum@gmail is my email account that I take, the serious stuff with. My YouTube channel is Eric Lamblum at Leadership Developed. And trust me, it's been a while. I've taken 6 months off of making videos because of just working through things and trying to find joy in doing these things. So they're kind of a little bit behind, but yeah, you can find me there. But you can also find me. I haven't been much social media like I should, but you know what? I'm on
I'm
Facebook.
not on social media, so
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
Okay. Like usually I got Facebook and I got Instagram and I do look at those. I mean, they'll notify me if, something comes up, but I do keep Facebook Messenger for people to message me and say, hey, you know, thinking about you and things like that. Do the same thing back, It's just great to hear from people like that. The fight community is great for that. So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, awesome. So, yeah, I'll put all that in the show notes and
okay.
people can reach out. And yeah, this was awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's so fun to be here and to just reconnect with you. It's been so long.
I know. Yeah, it's been great. Thanks for listening to the show. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit subscribe and leave a quick rating. Also, hit up my Patreon at patreon.com/everydayphi-podcast for ad-free and bonus content coming in 2026. I'm Megan Combs, and I'll see you next time on Everyday Phi.